Hi, I'm Jason Ross, and this is the LaRouche Organization update for Monday, April 10th, 2023. I am pre-recording on the evening of Sunday, April 9th. The question before us today is whether humanity will rise again. The recent dark age that we've experienced over the past several decades of wars and armed conflict, of economic stagnation with respect to our potential, very emphatically, and of an anti-human cultural decline, at least in the transatlantic world, this dark age is coming to an end one way or the other, either through the fiery destruction of nuclear war or through the coming into being of a new paradigm on this planet. The world trend of drawing away from Anglo-American imperialism intensifies every day. Take, for example, the just concluded visit of French President Emmanuel Macron of France, who went to China and who spoke out very compellingly, arguing against contributing to a conflict over Taiwan. Here's what Macron said. He said, the first thing would be to think that the worst thing would be to think that we Europeans must become followers on this topic and take our cue from the US agenda, he warned. The New York Times, which covered this, warns its readers that Mr. Macron appears to be inching France closer to the Chinese view that the world is undergoing changes that haven't happened in 100 years. Well, what sort of changes is the New York Times worried about? The threat, they say, is that the liberal institutions of the post-war order are under assault from Beijing and Moscow, which are pushing for a multipolar world. And they warn that this multipolar world is a thinly disguised code for one that is not American-dominated. So with such naked demands, such blatant demands for the world forever being American-dominated by what you might call the leading newspaper of the United States, is it any wonder that the U.S. is rapidly losing power diplomatically and economically? Take the continent of Africa, for example. The U.S. is currently 0 for 54 in getting countries of the continent to join in on the sanctions against Russia. The nation of Chad just expelled the German ambassador for his impolite attitude and for interfering too much in the country's internal affairs. People are standing up. In Southwest Asia, the China-mediated rapprochement between Iran and Saudi Arabia, the Russian-assisted potential for a thawing of relations between Turkey and Syria, these point to a future for the region without the kinds of conflicts, or at least with a reduction in the kinds of conflicts that have so divided it over the past decades. The potential for an end to the Saudi-Yemen war is in sight. And Syria's return to the Arab League, whose next meeting is in May, is widely expected to occur. And this is all no thanks to the Anglo-American imperium. In the economy, de-dollarization is not going away. In fact, Macron himself warned of Europe's dependence on, quote, the extraterritoriality of the US dollar. He said this was a threat. What else is taking place? Easter marches in Germany are demanding negotiations for a settlement of the conflict in Ukraine. An upcoming strike of doctors in the UK comes with demands for an improved health system. The people of France continue to stand up against the pension reform, but not just the pension reform. Tunisia is seeking BRICS membership. The world is changing. So what can you do is the question I leave you with. What can you do to help ensure that a miracle of sanity may descend upon the United States and the UK and NATO? What can you do to make that happen? Helga Zepp-LaRouche's 10 Principles for a New Security and Development Architecture serve as a real guiding vision for a joyous future. And next weekend, the Schiller Institute will be holding a conference for people from around the world to deliberate on the theme that without the development of all nations, there can be no lasting peace on this planet. The danger of World War III and efforts to prevent it, the potential for a new global South creating conditions for peace, These will be addressed at the conference, as will the economic and philosophical foundations for a new paradigm of growth. So I ask you to join me in building for that conference and to support our efforts. Please become a recurring donor to the LaRouche organization if you are not already, and be sure to stay tuned for our updates, and looking forward to your participation and those of people that you bring to the Schiller Institute conference next weekend. Thanks for watching.